Hello and welcome. I am Daniel Dummer, and this is the Name and the Covenant, Video 4, the Rebirth, 1948 and the Modern State. Welcome to Video 4, the Name and the Covenant. We followed this story from the root to the division to the scattering. Now we're going to step into the moment that the world thought could never happen. A nation reborn in a single day. May 14th, 1948, the United Nations vote, the declaration, the flag. The world called it politics. The Bible calls it prophecy. 1948 had a prophetic foreshadowing. The modern state was named Israel, and yet most who returned were not from all 12 tribes. They were primarily descendants of Judah and Benjamin and the Levites who had remained with Judah since the days of the division. Now, the word Jew itself comes from the name Judah, and that's important for us to know. The name is more than history. It's identity, because Judah was a man before it was a tribe, just as Israel was a man before it was a nation. One wrestled with God and walked with a limp. The other bowed before his brothers and carried a scepter. When we speak of Israel and Judah, we are not talking about cold categories. We are talking about living legacies, names that God himself spoke into existence. Now, names and blood always bear spiritual weight in the kingdom. By bloodline, this was Judah's return, but by name, it was Israel's. And that name is more than a label, it's a claim. It's a prophetic signpost that God's eyes are still on the whole house, not just the southern kingdom. It's a declaration that though the 10 tribes are still scattered, the clock is moving toward the regathering of Judah, of Israel. Think of it. God preserved a people's name and bloodline through dispersion, persecution, and centuries of exile. And then in one generation, he gathered them back. Not as Judah, which would have been accurate to their ancestry, but as Israel, the name of the whole house. It was a declaration to the nations and to the unseen powers. The covenant is still alive. The exile did not erase it. My word has not failed. This was not just a political act. It was God thundering into the timeline saying, I have not forgotten what I began. Now, we must also note the difference between the modern Israeli and the biblical Jew. An Israeli is a citizen of the modern nation, often secular, identifying nationally. The Jew, historically linked to Judah, is religiously tied to Judaism. And in 1948, the national flag rose over Tel Aviv, but the temple was still in ruins. The covenant promises to the whole house of Israel were not yet fulfilled. This was not the end of the story. It was a trumpet blast saying the end is approaching. Now, I'm going to bring this home for us today because 1948 is a reminder that God moves in his time, not ours. Entire generations died in exile without seeing this day, but God never forgot his people. His hand is always working, even when we can't see it. If God can breathe life into a nation that had been dust for almost 2,000 years, what can he not do in you? If he can summon his people home from every corner of the earth, he can call your wandering heart back in an instant. If he can keep his word across millennia, there is no promise he has spoken over you that is too old, too delayed or too impossible for him to fulfill? What promises of God are you still waiting on? Don't lose heart. Don't lose faith. For us, this is a call to patience and faith. If God can regather a nation after nearly 2 millennia, he can restore what you think is beyond repair. If he can keep covenant with Abraham's descendants, he can keep covenant with you through Christ. See, 1948 was not God tying a ribbon on the story. It was God sounding the alarm that the final chapters are already being written, because his ways are not our ways. His thoughts are not our thoughts. Now, in the next video, we're going to step into one of the most intriguing parts of the story, the mystery hidden and preserved. We're going to open Romans 11, Ezekiel 37, and Revelation 7 to see how God has been working in ways both visible and invisible, guarding promises we haven't yet seen fulfilled. So follow so you don't miss it, because 1948 was not the conclusion. It was the confirmation. The lamp has been lit and the shadows are moving.